Chris, I feel like I want to give this up.
Why?
I just feel like I'm in the mood to just give things up, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's a bad thing.
Don't give up on this lottery journey.
I just don't know. I mean, we haven't won the lottery yet,
You haven't
Chris.
won anything yet, apart from a couple of lucky dips, and it's been, what, almost half a year?
Yeah, it's been a good few months, and I think this is a test, and I think I'm going through a period where it's almost like a spiritual journey, isn't it, Chris? And in a way, this is kind of relevant to actually our topic of the week.
Is it?
Because it's Lent. I don't know if you realise this, Chris.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so Lent is this period that I've just learned, actually, because I've got a lot of Christian friends.
Have you?
It's where they look at giving things up.
Yeah.
So I believe it's based on Jesus. So if you're familiar with Easter, he actually rises from the dead on Easter Sunday. But before that, he goes on this epic journey through the desert where he is basically tempted by the devil. And I think this whole Lent, and we'll go through it in our topic of the week, we're trying to kind of connect with Jesus. And during this whole Lent period, we're trying to give something up. So I was like, what's taking a big part of my life? It's this podcast. Do I give it up and focus on other things?
What would you focus on instead? So have you found God? Is that what this is all about?
I don't know, maybe I just need to focus on something else. I'm not too sure, Chris.
We've got to get to the bottom of it, because, for anybody listening, Tony actually used to be pagan in some sort of way, didn't you? When you were growing up, you sort of connected to the leaves falling from the trees and stuff like that, acorns on the ground.
I used to think when people died, they would turn into like a leaf in a tree.
Why not?
I mean, that could be true. We don't really know. And I kid you not, I had a bit of a period where I listened to a lot of heavy metal. So I'm not saying I was going over to the dark side, but there were mentions of devils and stuff like that. But, I didn't succumb to go full satanic.
Have you now found God?
I'm not too sure, Chris. And maybe this is something that I need to discover.
Right. Well, I think that's, we've got to delve into that.
If there is a God, hopefully he would look favourably on us and let us win the lottery. That's what I think. I think that will be a true...
I see. So that's why you're becoming religious, because you're praying to try and win the lottery.
I think we might need some divine intervention here, Chris.
I think we do.
But how was your weekend, though, Chris?
It was a wonderful weekend. Yeah. Saturday was one of those days where it's raining 1 minute, then there's bright sunshine, so I'm sort of getting the umbrella out, putting it away, putting the sunglasses on. I went to Richmond for the very first time. Beautiful. It's a magical day out, in fact. And I went into Richmond Park, and there was a beautiful rainbow due to this weather, and a whole load of deer just sort of going in front of the rainbow. It was quite a magical experience. Then we went to a pub nearby, had half a pint, roaring open fire. Stunning place, Tony.
How close...
Was that divine intervention?
I don't know. You could have been attacked by a deer, but that didn't happen.
By the way, rainbow, pot of gold at the end. Maybe this is the week, finally.
As Dolly Parton says, if you want the rainbow, you've got to put up with the rain.
You have.
So maybe that is just pretty much, we're in a bit of a rain period in general.
Yeah.
And there is a pot of gold with the rainbow at some point.
How many times I say, think back on your life. You might be in a bit of a rut, struggling, whatever. Next thing you know, something really surprising happens the next week, and it's a beautiful moment. It's going to happen again.
Chris, I think you've inspired me to keep this going.
Yes.
In my head, I thought this was going to be the last episode, but you're right.
Did you? You were actually going to sack it off?
Well, I don't know.
I would have been forced to continue it on my own.
You would have done it by... Okay.
I would have had to do it on my own.
And you would end up with a lottery.
Or I'd have set up a rival Euro Millions one.
All right, then I'm not going to give up. Okay, this is... I'm going to have to think of something else to give up, basically, Chris. But I think we can explore that in the topic of the week, which is...
Bestiality, for example.
Potentially. No, for real, I don't do bestiality. Maybe watching it online. I will confess, I've seen some videos.
Well, it's hard to avoid them.
Yeah,
sometimes.
it's hard because
you're on Google.
Yeah.
You don't know what to search next, and it just happens by accident.
And I'm quite an inquisitive guy. You're just like, how is this going to work? So yeah, it's something to explore on our topic of the week. But before we get into that, I think it's standard procedures. We need to go to what was the jackpot for the last Saturday's draw?
And I believe it really was a magnificent amount of money, Tony.
I think as a Newcastle fan, Chris, I think that 15 million actually kind of means something to
Alan
you.
Shearer at the time in the 90s, world record, £15 million. But even if you put it with inflation, it would be nowhere near the current world record. If you use real inflation.
Yes.
But a lot of people have invented what they call football inflation, which kind of accounts for how ridiculous fees have become.
I actually remember when Alan Shearer went for 15 million, and I was like, wow, Newcastle bought... Was it from Blackburn?
From Blackburn.
Yes,
He'd won the title at Blackburn.
He could have gone to Man United. It would have been a different story.
Well, he should never... he was right.
Yeah.
He was right not to go, and he stands by his decision.
Yeah.
Boyhood club. Okay, we may not have won anything, but he's got some magnificent memories.
He's almost like... no, he's won the league. I was trying to compare him to Harry Kane, but...
He's still a step ahead, because Kane's not going to win the league this season.
He's not going to win it this season. But it's one of those scenarios where, Kane can probably hold his head up high and go, I didn't win it, but it wasn't because of me. It was the team.
Or is he cursed?
He could be cursed.
And he's bringing a curse now to Bayern Munich. The Spursy curse.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, he's a millionaire, so he's got the last laugh, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was 15 million. What were the winning numbers? So it was 2, 20, 34, 40, 48, 59, and the bonus ball was 6. Machine name, Guinevere, and ball set 10.
Guinevere's come up so many times. I think it's mostly been since Camelot lost the contract.
Yeah. Yeah, that is weird. Yeah, why is that?
So.
But it's, they draw it and it just seems to be coming. Like Guinevere is, I guess, flavour of the month, of the year. Oh yeah, the new year. So what were my numbers? So the numbers that I bought were 5, 8, 12, 15, 31, 54.
Nothing again then, right?
So this is what I'm talking about, Chris. It's like, this is why I was like, should I just give up?
Well, everybody goes on a journey. And there's never a straight line for any journey you go on, Tony. It's like this, up and down, up and down. And at the moment, we're down. We're about as low as we could possibly be. We've had an absolutely disastrous 2024. But, as I say, you never know what's around the corner.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's this image that I saw online where it showed... It was a cartoon, basically. And it showed these two cartoon men, and they had these little kind of... What do you call them? Like pickaxes. And one was, like, digging in the rock. And little did he know was that the gold was just, like, maybe... a meter in front of him, but he's walked away, kind of given up, and the rest of the other guys just kind of digging.
Kept going. They were a bit slower, but they reached it.
So if he would have kept going,
he would have found it. I mean, just think about this. I encourage all of our listeners as well. Think about some of the best things that ever happened to you, and then go back a few days before. Maybe a few days before, you're in a terrible mood.
I'm trying to think of a scenario.
Just think about it later. I bet there have been some of the most amazing things that have ever happened to you. And the night before it happened, maybe you weren't in such a great mood.
I think there has been cases.
You just
like
never know what's around the corner.
I think this is quite topical at the moment, is that a lot of people are losing their jobs.
Yep.
A lot of redundancies are happening.
Yep.
But there are a lot of cases where people do find a better job.
Yep.
After the redundancy, better pay, better environment, and they've got a little bit of a payout from the last one. It's
we actually sacked our producer.
Oh yes,
I think we did allude to it a few weeks ago. And actually, funnily enough, our producer's now on BBC, isn't it?
Oh,
this kind of got him his break.
Yeah, and apparently he's going to be working on some secret projects that...
It's Hugh Edwards, the comeback of Hugh Edwards, isn't it?
You know what? you mentioned Hugh Edwards and like Philip Schofield so often that I'm actually waiting to see that. I mean, I'm sure it's going to happen. I mean, like,
Why don't we just get them on this podcast?
Yeah. Why not? You know, I believe in second chances. I don't know about you, Chris.
I believe in 9 or 10 chances.
I mean, they've got media experience. Hugh Edwards. I mean, if we talk about Hugh Edwards, is that he should have been a little bit more. Yeah. I mean, it's actually a bit reckless of him to do what he did, knowing that he is a public figure.
Well, everybody would know that face.
Yeah, and
everybody, even if you're not somebody who consumes the news all the time.
Yeah,
you'll have seen him, won't you, once or twice?
Maybe that's what he got a kick out of doing. You know, I can't speak for Hugh Edwards, but
well, let's get him on the show and he can tell us himself.
Yeah, I reckon he's a billionaire.
Oh, without a shadow of doubt. I think he's on hundreds of thousands, wasn't he? Maybe millions plus per year.
So he could just retire. Yeah, he's
one of the BBC's top earners.
Okay. Right. So no. Well, there was a winner. It wasn't us. So it was one winner who won the 15 million. I guess we'll look forward to this Saturday's draw then. But Chris, we had a message, didn't we?
We've had loads.
Scandinavia.
Yeah, we've had loads of messages in, and what we've actually decided is, because people will send us their numbers every single week, and we don't always read them out, we always reply, but we had so many coming in this week that we said, okay, when we pick next week's numbers, let's go for a sort of a twist. Change in approach. Yeah. And let's read out other people's stories and other people's numbers.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that. But we have one in particular, Sarah in Sweden. And Sarah wanted to know about mail order husbands. And I couldn't quite believe this. So, you hear a lot about mail order brides, right?
Yeah.
And we won't comment on the countries that are often associated with that.
Can I just cut you there, Chris?
Yeah.
I'm not for sale, so that's the end of that one.
You should be. You'd be.
Well, it depends what the price is.
You'd be in
offering.
demand.
Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Sarah, tell us. Let's just tell us. But yeah, she said, is it ethically correct to have or to order a mail order husband, particularly a Scottish or Irish guy from the woods? And then she finished it by saying, and let me know how I go about it. So it seems like she might be really interested in this herself. And she even actually said in the email, this should be your topic of the week. So we might come back to it another time and just go on this whole subject.
I think this is a great topic. I mean, first of all, I believe in equality and the equality for women and men. And there is this big, I guess, thing that men do is that they do look for brides abroad and they pay money for it, which is completely up to you if you want to do that. But it does seem to be quite a male-centric thing that they do that. And, we all know that image of that kind of old middle-aged guy going to Southeast Asia.
Or Russia.
Russia.
Or anywhere.
Anywhere.
Or
basically.
Latin America.
Actually, it's pretty much any around the world.
Ukraine. I mean, you've just got to watch 90 Day Fiancé. And, even on that, you do have women as well.
Yeah.
But they'll go all over. Typically, men, actually, Philippines comes up the most. Funny enough, on that show, never Thailand. I've been looking forward to seeing Thailand. Quite a lot of them will meet British people online. They'll come over to London. I think London works quite well when they feature that. But yeah, you get it. Ukraine comes up quite a lot. And quite often it's the women who go out to Africa, Nigeria.
That's what I was saying. It was Africa was a popular one. Because I saw a documentary on YouTube about that. But to Sarah, I mean, what's she asking? She's like, is it...
So she wants us to do a topic of the week on whether it's ethically correct to get mail order husbands or brides, I suppose. But then she kind of ended it by making it seemingly clear that she wants a mail order husband herself.
From the woods.
From the woods, and particularly Scottish or Irish. She likes that kind of Celtic thing. And she wants to know how you go about it. Now, we've been talking about this on the podcast before. Our app.
Yeah.
Our app. We have a dating app. Why don't we expand that out and we get into the mail order stuff as well?
That is amazing. I mean, there's clearly demand for it.
Yeah.
And that's not just from Sarah. I mean, I've seen stuff online. If we can integrate that, it could be very lucrative, I reckon, Chris.
But, particularly for us.
You know, it sounds like she could get one relatively cheap if they're in the woods. I mean, what else could they have? I think the price would be quite cheap.
Yeah, and you will find, if you spend enough time in the woods, you're probably going to find one of those people who were raised by wolves or raised by monkeys or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Scottish and Irish in the woods. How would you go about it? I mean, if she wanted that, I mean, my first thing, just go to Scotland or Ireland and go to the woods, right? But is that safe? That should be. I think that's another question she should. But not if it's ethical. Is it safe for her to do that? But hey, it's good. I'm just quite glad to hear that a woman's asking just quite direct questions. I mean, like she should go after for what she wants.
I would say, and if you're Swedish, just turn up.
Oh yeah.
In Scotland or Ireland, get on a dating app and just say Swedish. Put the Swedish flag. You won't have a problem. I would.
Yeah, I mean they are very good-looking men and women.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would just say go for it. There's nothing ethically wrong with that. We're in modern times.
Let's explore it even further. Let's explore it even further another week because we can't say for sure.
But no, good on you. If we move on to our topic of the week, what is it, Chris?
Topic of the week, which this week is Lent, as Tony was saying. So Tony seems to have found God, which I'm a bit confused about. I'm just going to say I'm not particularly religious.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm not a spiritual person.
Yeah.
I certainly, there's different things that I wouldn't say I believe in, but, you have that energy between different people. I believe in that. Maybe there's a little bit of connection to nature. So you say pagan, is it the worst thing? But in organised religion, I just struggle to believe. And maybe this is my problem.
Yeah, I mean, with Lent, I think with God and myself, I seem to go on this journey where I'm into it and then I'm not so into it. It's an ongoing
do sometimes
relationship.
It's kind of up and down, like we were saying.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. I mean, it's one of those things where it has to mean something to you.
Yeah,
and I think being a good Christian doesn't mean that you always go to church every Sunday.
No,
you should go when you feel like you most need it, probably. And it is a positive community, I would say.
Absolutely.
Given that Lent, we are in the period of Lent now, Chris. So just to let our audience know, Lent this year actually started on 14th of February, so that's Valentine's Day. So after you've been all romantic with your other half and stuff like that.
Was it on the day, though?
Yeah, it says 14th of Feb.
Okay, so if you.
Imagine this. You're on a Valentine's Day, and then you go, oh, I'm doing that, I'm giving up sex.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was just thinking.
Yeah.
That's what I actually did give up. So I was like, no, good.
Fair enough. I mean, it's for Lent. We've got to think spiritually.
It's incredibly important. But to be honest, Tony, I'm going to be frank about Lent. I do think there's a bit of a connection to the lottery on this because isn't it all about hope, reflection? It's all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Isn't that about hope, really, at the end of the day? You're kind of giving things up, but you're connecting yourself to the journey that Jesus went on. That's how it's just like the lottery.
Yeah, I would say, even if you don't give up anything, and we can talk about what are some of the common things that people give up. One of the things is like, what you hear a lot about is, I'm giving up sugar. I'm not going to...
Boring.
Yeah, like, come on, let's do something challenging. And that can be challenging for some people. So 40 days. So from the 14th of Feb and 40 nights. So from the 14th of Feb up to the 28th of March, you can't have anything with sugar. That is a challenge.
It's a long period of time.
It's a long period. And back to your point about reflection is that, okay, so if you don't really want to take part in this, I'm giving up something, you could use this period to reflect about, what are some of the things that are taking up my time that is maybe not helping me with my mental health or my relationships or my progress in life.
So more like a reflection.
Yeah, a reflection or just like, I'm not going to give up sugar, but I just want to reflect that maybe
what's making me happy and what's making me sad.
Yeah. So you probably won't want to give up the good stuff. You might want to give up. Maybe the good stuff is causing you to be unhappy. Like,
say this social media thing, you know, people can scroll and scroll and scroll, and you know, I don't think I've got a terrible relationship with social media. I read some quite interesting stuff on there. But some people get really into it and they're posting stuff all the time and they're looking at how many likes and they're like, oh, hang on, why have I got less likes now than I did the last time?
Yeah.
That is a bit of a toxic thing. And maybe 40 days, actually you feel a lot better without it.
Yeah, I mean, just give it a go. And if you're not willing to give it up, you got to acknowledge that maybe that is something that you should probably not look at every single hour or something like that. It's OnlyFans social media.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
That's the one I use the most.
Okay, so I'm not gonna give that one up.
Foot Finder. Does that count?
I'll give up Facebook. I'm not giving up OnlyFans. But yeah, I think should we go through what some of the top lists of stuff that?
I know you've always got the stats. Let's go with the cold hard facts. What are the top 10 things to give up for Lent? And it's got a picture of daffodils. So do people give up daffodils for Lent?
They can do. If you hoard daffodils, that might be something a bit unhealthy, right? But
I wouldn't eat them.
Definitely not. So guess what? Social. You hit the nail
social
on the head.
Media. Well, yeah.
Either cut down or completely stop using social media for Lent.
Well, I did read about this loophole of because I think there's something to do with Lent of then on Sunday you can go back to having it.
Yeah.
So you could do that. Social media. The only day of the week where you use it is Sunday.
Yeah.
And you've just gathered everything together. You could have a massive blast, 50 different stories or posts.
Oh, but they'll expire though.
Yeah, it kind of defeats. But
yeah,
maybe it's not such a bad idea. Or just stop yourself posting for 40 days then.
You know what? I think I've got a good go-between. Like, give up all the rest of the social media, but don't give up watching our stuff. So still keep Win Me the Lottery going.
Yeah.
But just forget all the other stuff.
So basically, you just bookmark it on Safari or whatever your browser is.
Yeah.
And don't log into the app or whatever. Just go on the link.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Other stuff is like binge watching TV. I mean, how much is too much TV, do you reckon? A day, like if you watch 2 hours a day of TV, is that too much or not? What do you think?
You know me, I'm all about freedom. I don't ever put rules in place like this. Do what makes you happy. You know, that's the thing. Binge watching TV, are there more productive things that you could have done with your time? Did you want to go, you know, maybe you're somebody who finds you go for a run and you feel really good afterwards. So why didn't you use your time? You could have done that. Yeah. You could have maybe really enjoyed cooking. You could have got up and cooked with your partner, your loved one.
Yeah.
But I don't think, you know, you can just relax and chill. Maybe you've had a hard day at work, put the TV on, put on Netflix. Maybe that really helps you to kind of have a therapeutic end to the day. I don't know. So I'm not going to put rules in place here, Tony.
But if you were watching like 6 hours of TV a day, that you should give that up.
I think
try giving that up.
Yeah.
But hey, if it's, you know, if anyone's watching Traitors, I'm getting into that.
Oh, now that, in fact, now you say that.
Yeah.
Probably kind of, when was that out? January. I think there was one night where I watched way too much Traitors because I think I'd been on holiday or whatever and I kept getting the spoilers because it was happening in real time and I had about 5 to go. I said, let's just watch all 5 because the next episode's out tomorrow night.
Are you watching? I'm just watching the first series.
Are you still only on series 1?
Yeah, and I have to watch it with my girlfriend, so I'm, you know, I want to binge it.
No,
yeah.
No, which episode are you on?
I can't remember which one, but I mean, I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, we can't spoil it. Yeah. Okay.
But Gossip is another one. You want to give up the Gossip?
Yeah, listen, it's never... Well, listen, there's something about Gossip, which is that... And there are psychological studies on this as well. Yeah. Gossip builds bonds. You know, as humans, we're social creatures.
Yeah.
We want bonds with other people. And so, light-hearted bit of gossip is actually really useful. Mm-hmm. But if you get into a vicious cycle of doing it all the time, it is not good for anybody. It is not good for anybody. So yeah, I agree with that.
So that's good. I mean, I was also looking at Reddit and, you know, some of the common things to give up were social media, sugar, and like energy drinks is something that...
Energy drinks?
Yeah.
Like what?
like Monster. Or
Oh,
Prime,
right.
I guess, all that
yeah, well, that definitely, I never drink those anyway.
Yeah. Some of these stuff, like staying up late. I don't know how you could give up busyness, because life is busy. Meat. Could you give up meat for 40 days and 40 nights?
No.
Yeah, that's...
No. Don't be ridiculous.
I reckon I could do that. If you had you could eat fake meat.
It's even worse for you.
Oh, right.
Caffeine, couldn't do that either. Definitely need caffeine.
Masturbation, could you give up masturbation?
Already have. About 7 or 8 years ago. And then a good one at the end. Get your finances in order. I think that's probably the best one. But Tony, I'm going to have to say, we talked about New Year's resolutions on this before.
Yeah.
And I treat New Year's resolutions and Lent in fairly similar way, just a waste of time. But a really good idea, if you did set loads of New Year's resolutions at the start of the year, why don't you give those up for Lent?
Give up your New Year's resolution?
Yeah. Just for 40 days. Give yourself a break.
And you can say that you're taking part because you are giving up something.
That's right. When people set themselves goals, make them realistic. It's like you say and work smart or whatever, but you're never going to do it if you say, all right, I haven't been for a run in 6 months.
Yeah.
Don't try and do a marathon.
Yeah.
Just go for a 1K and build it up, say 2K, 3K, 4, and then suddenly you've entered into a 5K a few months later. Build your way up.
Definitely. And I think the point I'm trying to get across is that, there's loads of things you can give up. You don't have to give them up, but as long as you're conscious of the stuff that is occupying your life, that might not be good for you. And if it is, that's fine. But if it isn't, like too much social media, maybe just have a think about maybe reducing it.
I think just get home and write out a list. What makes you happy? What makes you sad? Everything in moderation. You can be healthy and still enjoy the odd treat, for example.
Yeah.
Because I was reading somebody saying, I just don't have sugar. They said, I don't have sugar. I count calories. You can count calories, Of course you can have a chocolate bar and still, be within the limit. It's all about keeping it in moderation.
Yeah. That's what it's probably saying. Just reflect and have everything in moderation, right? But some good things to think about, I would say, Chris. Even when I look at how I want to spend my time, what should I give up or think about giving up? But I'm definitely not giving up this podcast.
No way.
100%.
What I think you should give up is thinking about giving up this podcast.
I think that's fair. I think I'll do that, Chris. So that covers me for Lent. Did we finalise what you were going to give up? You weren't going to give up anything.
Absolutely nothing. No. Definitely not.
Okay, so we're on to picking next week's numbers.
And as we said, Tony, we just had so many coming in this week, all over the place. Instagram, YouTube. So you get us on Instagram, Win Me the Lottery. YouTube, Win Me the Lottery. Even you can email, many people do.
It's tony.win.lotto@gmail.com.
Perfect.
Cool, so if we start off with the first one that I saw that just got sent in, it's actually in Russia. So obviously there's...
the person who put it in, or is it...
So no, this story is
it was Russia. Mary who sent it in.
Oh, yes, it's Mary, and I think she's from Skegness. So she had the story that came up in The Guardian, and the title read, Russia arrests US dual national over alleged $51 Ukrainian charity donation.
Was that Hunter Biden?
I actually don't know.
Well, US dodgy thing in Ukraine.
Oh, I see.
Was it Hunter Biden, his son, who was involved? Oh my goodness.
It's a rather dashing lady on here.
Yeah.
So, from what I gather from this is Ksenia Karvana faces up to 20 years in prison.
So she was the one? Oh my goodness.
For treason amid Kremlin crackdown.
And obviously her name is very much...
Yeah. She looks very Russian.
Russian or Ukrainian, whatever.
So, what I'm making from this is the White House has said it's seeking information after Russia announced it had arrested a dual US-Russian citizen on treason charges accusing her of collecting funds for Ukrainian organizations and openly opposing the Russian war in Ukraine. Oh, so seems like just collecting money for charity for the Ukrainians are seen as treason.
And that is seen as a crime in Russia now.
So that's unfortunate. That is pretty harsh, I would say.
I don't think we would have picked this one ourselves. No. Because this is quite severe.
There is a number though. That's 50. So over $51. That was kind of donated to the Ukrainian charity donation. I believe she's collected it for this charity, $51, and now she's facing treason charges.
Well, this is it.
They don't mess around.
Cautionary warning. If you're going to go back to Russia, Mother Russia, just be careful.
I mean, in the bigger context of things, we know that there's a war going on. She's putting herself out there. Clearly, she's a caring lady. She's like, yes, I'm Russian, but I want to donate to Ukraine.
I think she should be commended for it, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, it's brave. I mean, clearly has some strong moral values on it, but clearly it's landed her in hot water. So I guess that's the number for this week is just, over $51. It's a lot of aggro that's coming her way.
Perfect. All right, let's see what else we have. So the next one through is Toronto man gets prison for tricking men into anonymous sex through hole in cheat. So who the hell has sent... Liam in Crewe has sent that one in. Toronto man gets prison for tricking men into anonymous sex through hole in cheat. So let's see what...
We've all been there, right, Chris?
What, doing the tricking or being tricked into it? I've actually done both.
Depends what day of the week, Chris.
So here you go. So Tony Sviar, on 2 separate occasions, tricked 2 men into believing they were talking to a woman online, invited them over to his Toronto home to have anonymous sex through a hole in a sheet hanging in a doorway. I would love to just see how he did that. He's got a hole in the door. Sorry, a sheet hanging in the doorway.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, it's not so you can just punch through it and see who it is. The ruse came to an end when the second man pulled the sheet down. Here you go. To find Sphere cowering on the ground in a black wig. And he was later arrested. We shouldn't laugh, obviously. Ontario Court Justice Kathleen Mocker convicted the 33-year-old of 2 counts of sexual assault, given that the victims had been misled about the identity of their sexual partner. Oh,
well, I guess
I'm just trying to envisage this again. So, obviously, it's 2 blokes. He's...
On Reddit, they see that as a witness that doesn't matter had sex. So clearly, this guy, the person that is, I guess, the victim, has clearly gone there for some sexual service. So what I find is quite freaky is that they just see a sheet and a hole, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm just going to stick my penis in there.
And the guy is just talking through the thing, putting on a woman's face.
Yeah.
Oh, well, lovely to you. Sorry. I'm a bit shy. Or was it during COVID, though? Because it's 2020.
Yeah.
She probably said, we've got to keep our distance. Just so behind.
But it's a glory hole, right?
Yeah.
So they
in a sheet. She's not even through a wall or whatever.
How sanitary is that? Is it just some... But I imagine, I'm just trying to envisage. Imagine he's just like, this doesn't feel like a female mouth or something, or whatever it is.
Whatever it actually was.
And then he just like pulled down the sheet and just see some dodgy man in a wig just kind of like crouched down. That is quite scarring. What's the number in this one, Chris?
Yeah, let's see what Liam's said. So, number 33, because Tony Sphere is 33 years old. And are you quite happy to have your namesake? No.
Was he sentenced to 28 months?
28 months, yeah.
Sex offenders registry for the next 10 years.
Good.
I don't know. I can just imagine. It depends on what type of guy is, but some men, if they discovered that, they might get violent. I mean, luckily, it didn't seem no violence has happened. They just kind of reported. But I can imagine some men, if they discovered another man, it was another man,
getting really angry
and kind of really lashing out. But It's not a laughing matter. Apologies for. I just find it. I just laugh when it's
awkward.
When it's just a terrible crime. I would say, and it's misleading. It's a scam, and yeah, that's not right. On a light-hearted note, are you a fan of sci-fi, Chris?
No.
Oh,
not really.
I would have thought you were more Star Trek than Star Wars. If you had to choose Star Trek or Star Wars.
No, I go Star Wars.
Why Star Wars?
Because Star Trek's even worse.
Okay. But
Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Or Yoda, they're brilliant, aren't they?
I like the lightsabers of Star Wars.
Yoda I like.
Okay. Because I used to try to annoy people who like Star Trek or Star Wars by going to people who like Star Wars. I used to go, beam me up, Scotty. Or like,
really good. Yoda speaks backwards. That's what I was trying to do before. You could say that, oh, Star Trek you like.
Or go to Star Trek fans, like Captain Kirk, may the Force be with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
it's the other way around, right? Because he was in Star Trek. He was, right? Captain Kirk.
Yeah, he is Star Trek.
Yeah.
But he don't say may the Force,
say again.
The Force be with you, Star Wars, right?
I didn't hear that properly. Yeah, may the Force be with you.
So, yeah, I mean, you know what? I think I might prefer Star Trek, possibly. No, I like all of them.
I would just put them both on a par.
They're all about stars. But basically, this one that got kind of emailed in by, what is the person? It's Declan Black. Okay, Declan Black.
Can I just read out what the title is?
Go on.
From 45 bags of hair extensions, I made my Star Wars Chewbacca suit. That's Yoda style. That's Yoda style.
I thought you could put on more of a voice.
Yeah, I should, but I can't do it.
Okay,
Mate, I can't do it ready baked.
So basically, this story is: I made my Star Wars Chewbacca suit from 45 bags of hair extensions. So, for those that aren't familiar with Star Wars, Chewbacca is this. What is this? A hairy alien.
I don't really know what he is.
Is
he a hairy bear? I thought he was a hairy bear.
He looks like a hairy wolfman thing. Can I try and do the voice?
Yeah, again. Yeah.
No,
that's good. Yeah. Okay. Do the next sentence the wrong way around.
Oh, like Yoda?
Yeah.
How does Yoda do it? Does he just say it in a voice? Like,
oh, is that meant to be Chewbacca rather than Yoda?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. Chewbacca. Right. Okay. Should I try and sound like
Yoda?
And say the title?
Yeah.
I made my Star Wars Chewbacca suit from 45 bags of...
But you have to say it the wrong way around. Or you being Chewbacca now?
No, I'm trying to be Yoda.
Yeah, you've got to say it the wrong way around.
How does he say it?
Well, that's it. He'd be like...
Extensions, hair.
Well, let's do another one. Take Angela Rayner's seat. George Galloway vows his party will.
Oh. Okay, so just say it backwards.
Yeah, but we won't get into George Galloway on the show.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of worms. But but go on.
So I say...
You just say the sentence, but...
Okay.
The sentence backwards, you say.
Okay. Extensions hair of bag 45 from suit Chewbacca Wars star made I. That?
You don't just say every word backwards. You just each clause of the sentence.
Oh.
To be like, from 45 bags of hair extensions, I made my Star Wars Chewbacca suit.
Okay.
You know what? You don't remember?
No, I don't remember this. But...
Yeah.
So what's the gist of this? It's basically...
Well, somebody's basically, instead of donating hair extensions to charity or whatever, they have decided to waste it on a Chewbacca Star Wars suit.
45 bags of it.
Yeah, I hope you're happy, Declan.
So interesting. Okay, they're proper Star Wars fans, and there's a lot of other.
Unlike us, clearly, because we've just screwed everything.
Yeah, we're not that sad. So that's the 45 because of 45 bags.
Lovely. All right, let's see who's next. We have Tina, who's emailed us in from France.
Oh, nice.
So there you go. So Tina, isolated for 6 months, scientists in Antarctica began to develop their own accent. Well, then that is interesting. I like this one, Tina. So only 6 months. Do you think you'd lose your accent if you were away for 6 months?
You know what? I like to see myself as a bit of a chameleon. So it depends where I am. I think I can adapt to whatever the accents are.
I do. I've definitely adapted mine, because especially if you're with somebody with strong accents. My mum's Irish, so if you are with people who've got strong accent, I've got northern roots, Newcastle as well. And sometimes you just pick up words. I always remember when we're in uni, and you know that brilliant nightclub Oceana.
I've heard of it.
And there was this Manc guy who just always called it Oceana. So I just started calling it Oceana. I can't even say how he said it. Oceana.
You remind me of this interview that I saw on the BBC when the guy was talking to some guy up north, and he was saying, say butter, and he was going, butter.
Butter. Yeah, butter.
Butter.
And that's listen, I don't know exactly what. This is a really long article that we've been sent here by Tina, but apparently it does give insights into why American and British English has diverged in the way it has.
Yeah.
And residents at the Antarctic research stations actually ended up developing their own terms and vernacular for certain activities throughout the day. Some have their origins in military terms, others have cropped up as jokes or happenstance. Here, if you can try yourself. Fodplod, picking up rubbish. Fod stands for foreign object debris. That's just weird.
I just saw one that looked quite interesting.
Gash.
Yes, I was going to say, yeah.
Imagine you get, this is washing up, cleaning and waste duties. Imagine you just got that one. Maybe that's what happened to that guy in Canada with the sheet.
Like, what does gash mean in slang terms?
In British slang?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what your gash is, right?
A cut.
Ah, yes, absolutely. Yeah. I don't want to just say something that gets our age rating put up on the App Store.
Oh, no, it's just explicit. Yeah.
Clunge.
Yeah, clunge.
Minge.
So this is all like in between inspired.
Was gash in between?
I think it was.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So that was on Dingle Day, clear blue sky. That's awful, isn't it? Imagine if you heard someone saying that, Dingle Day. Oh my God. It sounds like something Ned Flanders would say.
Yeah.
All of these do a skidoo or snow bike, furkle, sort through something or mess around, gonk, sleep. Gonk sounds like conk out in British.
Conk. You just remind me of a funny story where conk means head. I believe your conk. We looked in the dictionary. It means head.
Yeah.
So when we was in school, because we was going through the dictionary or thesaurus or whatever it was, so a few of my friends were just cracking up by going, "Your mum gives me conk." I was like, "Oh yeah, that's funny because conk." Yeah.
Was that with a sheet, a hole in the sheet? No. But yeah, so that's. I mean, it is interesting.
We're not. By the way, back on that sheet thing, we're not shaming people who partake in it because
no.
Yeah, it's you know we're all adults. If it's all consenting, it's all good. But clearly, you don't deceive.
It has to be properly consensual. Yeah, it has to be consensual. You have to know if you're being tricked.
You're taking a risk if you're just going to a sheet. You don't know what's behind there, so you gotta be appreciative of that. You know, there's a higher risk of you don't know what.
This is why you want to use our app.
Yeah,
this is really why you want to use our app.
Put a face to the name.
But yeah, so essentially, what I'm just reading a bit more, and what happened here is that there were 26 researchers, and also they were there for 26 weeks, so half a year, as you say. They'd work, eat, and socialise together with barely any contact with home. Satellite phone calls are expensive, and so used sparingly. Just each other for company and limited entertainment on the base. They would chat to each other a lot, and I guess that's how they came with their new language. And I remember this actually in uni, going back to that. Me and my mate said we just make up new words.
I don't think I ever did. I use code words for stuff that you don't want people to hear you say.
Yeah.
But I don't think. I mean, slang is a thing, you know, colloquial stuff happens naturally in the area, but I never made. Like, do you have an example off the top of your head? I don't know if you.
What do we used to say? Well, it's just random stuff that would come out. I can't.
It's fascinating though, as humans, isn't it? You find a way of kind of communicating different.
For example, there was a restaurant called Fothergill's.
Oh yeah.
So we just said, we're going to get Fothergill tonight.
okay, that's good. That's good.
So it sounds quite bad. It's quite lame.
I thought you said you want to go to the Gill or something.
Well,
Yeah.
good also.
Interesting.
But what it means is, do you want to get Fothergilled tonight? As in, you're going to get smashed. Do you see what I mean?
Yes. Okay.
I think that was one we said. I can't remember now. But yeah, so that's actually really interesting, Tina. So thank you for that.
What number was that?
That is the number 6.
Right, 6
isolated for 6 months.
Right. So the next one I had is all the way from Scotland, and this was actually
Don't tell me it's someone in the woods.
Well, possibly. No, it's a female, and it is, what is her name? It's Diana. Diana,
Princess.
Yeah.
The ghost of.
So it's Diana from Glasgow. So she didn't say she was a victim of this scam, but this was all over the news. I'm sure you saw
I saw this. Yeah, I've seen the videos of this. It's the Willy Wonka thing, isn't it? I bet, because it's Glasgow.
Yes, it is. So the title of this is Kids Left in Tears and Police Called Over Shambolic Willy Wonka Inspired Event after parents forked out £35 per ticket. And for those that haven't seen it, it looks like someone's put up this kind of Willy Wonka event. And what would you expect? You said Willy Wonka. You think of it being...
chocolate factory. This magical chocolate factory.
You know, everyone's dressed up. You've got, like, props that are, like, from the movies.
It's like if you go into, like... Let's just say you're on one of those water rides. And, you know, remember in Chessington World of Adventure, did you ever go to that one? They had Uncle Burps, or whatever it was, Professor Burps.
Yeah.
Waterworks. And it was magical. It's a small world. You know, the Disney thing, it's a small world or something. You're expecting something like that. Magical. How would you describe here?
This is actually, when I look at it, it looks rather grim and depressing because...
It's just a big empty space. It looks like a community hall. Oh, is it a warehouse?
It's like some type of warehouse thing. And they tried to recreate the Willy Wonka Willy Wonka world and chocolate factory by these really shoddy looking kind of sheets of colour.
The thing is, if they got a smaller space, it might have worked. If you just buy, because some of the props, they're not great. But when you got a massive warehouse just with like one sheet on the wall with a picture of Oompa Loompas on it, or
the sheet doesn't even cover the whole wall.
Yeah,
it is terrible.
What's that doing there? The little what's that called?
It's like a little green screen of some sort. And like, what is this? It's like, and then
for the photos next to it, I suppose.
I saw this on the news. Some of the tables and they didn't have enough jelly beans, so they're just giving a few jelly beans to everyone. And like, look how grim that kind of prop table looks.
It does look a bit like you've gone to the Scouts.
Yeah. So basically, it's £35 a pop. People brought their kids there, and it was a scam. I felt sorry for the workers that were there because they were promised, to work over a weekend. I don't think even they got paid yet, but they were. Some of the workers were like students trying to kind of bring in the magic, pretend to be Oompa Loompa, put on the masks. But
have you seen the outrage over the guy? He posted a TikTok video about it, and then he went on and Ask Me Anything on Reddit.
Oh,
but somebody's outed him as a groomer. I didn't follow the whole thing.
Well, the guy who's...
And I don't call him a pedo, but no, he's just somebody who worked there who did a TikTok. What was it like? But anyway, we'll chase that up next week because I don't want to confirm or deny. I haven't independently verified whether any of that is true.
So the plot thickens. But this is just really... I think it's one of those things where he tried to make a quick buck. He didn't live up to expectations. It's 35 quid a ticket.
It's not the worst idea. I mean, imagine had it been executed rightly or right. I think it could have been a magical occasion.
Yeah. It's not easy to throw up these really great events, It's a lot of work and clearly...
Do you remember before Christmas, we were talking about, and this story like this comes out every year because people love this stuff, was the really rubbish Christmas fair.
The hot chocolate.
And that was in Scotland, and it was basically like £12 for a hot chocolate with a marshmallow in it. That was in Edinburgh, wasn't it? So that was also Scotland.
I think...
Or was it Glasgow? I think it was Edinburgh.
It was somewhere up north,
Yeah.
I think.
It's definitely Edinburgh, I think.
You gotta appreciate the entrepreneurial hustle to actually put it on and see it, and see like there's a demand for it, and then you
just need the capital, and I think unfortunately they didn't have the capital to invest in this and make it work. But what you could do is you say, look, tickets are on sale now. There's discount. We're not putting this on for another year. I don't know if people would book, but you got to admire the entrepreneurship there. So that's great. So we just got one more, Tony, and this one is fantastic. Well, terrible. Teacher sword fights in class, sending bloodied teen to hospital. Lawsuit says. So we have to vouch that the lawsuit alleges.
Yeah.
We don't know if this is true.
Oh, wait, there's pictures.
And there we go. Let's see. So this is in the Sacramento Bee. And who was that who sent that in, Tony? Was that Neil? Neil has sent that one in. And he's actually from the United States. Maybe he's actually in the area. So thank you for this, Neil. So a student remains scarred and disfigured since her sophomore year of high school when, it doesn't say when that was.
Yeah.
When her teacher told she brought a surprise into chemistry class, according to a lawsuit filed by her family. The teacher revealed she had 2 swords, including a katana-style sword, in the science classroom at Volcano Vista High School in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Then she instructed the students to fight each other with the weapons in pairs. The teacher no longer works for the school. She was fired 2 months later on July 30th, 2022. The student, who was 16 when she was injured in class that day, initially recorded a video of a duel between 2 male students. The students were seen wielding the swords in the centre of the classroom. One makes repeated advances towards the other as their blades continuously clash, according to the footage, which was filed as an exhibit in court. Tony, when the video starts, the teacher yells, "Go!" and it's seen supervising students as the timer is displayed and projected behind the students. At the end of the video, the teacher tells one of them, "You're definitely dead."
How is this related to chemistry, by the way?
I don't know. Oh, and they've even put a screen grab of the video with them there, and there's basically like fencing, right? So they've got...
It's a katana.
It's
a real sword.
Yeah, but it's a real sword. 52-second countdown. She put deadly weapons into the students' hands and directed them to fight one another. I'm sure she had some sort of analogy compared to something to do with chemistry, right?
I think, if I was 16, I thought this was pretty cool. Obviously it's bloody dangerous because you could literally... Well, clearly they got injured. But... yeah, what is sword fights with real katanas? I mean, only in America, right? Actually, maybe if this was in Japan, like hundreds of years ago, maybe that was kind of normal. But this is interesting. It's an interesting class, I guess. Maybe that she wanted to test how metals. I don't know if you kind of slam swords together, does that create some type of sparks?
Probably. Yeah, I bet that's what she was thinking. But yeah, so I mean, that was in 2022, and this student remains scarred and disfigured since.
Literally scarred.
Yeah. And disfigured. So I do feel horrible for this poor kid who was impacted there, but 16 years of age, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's why they said 16, number 16. So Tony, there you go. Those are our numbers for this week.
That reminds you of a science class I had where it was pretty cool. Do you know alkaline metals?
Yeah.
And how, some of them were held in like oil so they don't react to the air.
Yeah.
And I remember the science teacher putting some of these alkaline metals in water and just seeing them kind of like spark up. It's quite interesting. I just remember that class. It kind of grabbed me.
That's what you've got to do to bring it to life.
Yeah.
But I remember you used to, in science class... you used to do some cool experiments.
Yes. I wonder if they do that today, because one of the stories that the science teacher was saying that he said one of the times the alkaline metal stuck to the side of the tank, and it actually shattered the tank because it blew up. Yeah.
Crikey Moses. But yes, we got those 6 numbers emailed in. So if anybody wants to,
Yeah.
for next week, please get in touch again.
Yeah.
You can get in touch on Instagram, Win Me the Lottery, TikTok, Win Me the Lottery, YouTube, Win Me the Lottery, and of course on email.
So it's tony.win.lotto@gmail.com.
Perfect.
So, yeah, just to recap, so what are the numbers that I will be buying this week? It's numbers 6, 16, 33, 35, 45, and 51.
Well, hopefully we've been inspired by all of the listeners this week, Tony, because as we said, nothing's worked for us. We haven't even won a tenner.
Yeah.
We even know that there's a guaranteed way to win.
Yeah.
At least a lucky 10. We haven't even tried that yet.
So I'm just not. We're not going to give up, even though it's Lent. We're not going to give up. There may be some things we may think about giving up, but we're not going to do it if we don't want to. Basically,
Rick Astley, wasn't it? Never going to give you up.
Never going to give you up. And great song. I think overplayed, but
Where's the Rick roll?
yeah, it's the Rick roll, wasn't it? Were you ever Rick rolled before?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I was
big time.
also.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I enjoyed it still. Yeah,
I
it was
love
good,
being
yeah.
Rick rolled. Yeah, if anything, it's far more interesting than what I thought I was going to open.
It wasn't one of those bestiality videos, no.
No, yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing, actually. They said, oh, look, I've got some really hot video here of someone shagging a wolf. And
Rick-rolled.
luckily it was just Rick rolled, thank God.
So
I got the lube out and everything.
fair enough. Whatever works for you.
I still managed to make use of it. Rick Astley was on the YouTube.
You know what? I actually do remember, and there is some very attractive people in that video, if I remember correctly.
Well, Rick Astley.
Yeah, Rick Astley, and there was like a barman. I remember there's a dark lady, blonde lady. Nice.
I need to watch it again.
Watch it again.
I need to watch it again.
But yeah, I think that kind of brings us to the end of this week's episode. But it's actually Mother's Day. Actually, if I remember the Sunday,
Yeah.
we're in Lent, so I think
Incredibly important. Don't give up on your mum for Lent. Whatever you do.
I've just a word of warning that because it's Sunday the 10th in the UK. I know it's different in other locations. So just a reminder, if you want to book a brunch,
Yeah.
with your mum
Or a
on
late
Sunday,
lunch.
you've got to book it in now because it's going to be busy.
Yeah. Prezzo probably won't be booked up yet, won't it?
Well, I've already got a table. So I mean, is Mother's Day, is that a big deal for you, Chris? Is that
Yeah, I'll be in my hometown this Sunday with my mum and the family to treat my mum at a fantastic local pub
Oh, nice.
for lunch there.
Oh, right. And would just like I said, like Sunday roast?
So Sunday roast, set menu, whatever it is.
Nice.
I've already got her gift. So I think it's going to be a fantastic occasion.
Well, you take it pretty seriously. That's
Absolutely. It's your mum.
Yeah,
Tony,
you've
it's your mum.
It's true. It's so yeah, get prepared for Mother's Day. So guess we'll see you next week on Win Me the Lottery.
Win me the lottery.
Goodbye.
Ciao, ciao.